Hi everyone, and welcome to another Cricut craft tutorial. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It is completely free and I would love to have you guys as part of my crafty family here on YouTube. And make sure you check out my other social medias linked down below. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and on Facebook. If you guys join my Facebook group, you can show me all the fun crafts that you've done, and I love seeing how creative you guys are. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a topic I see all the time. Everywhere I look, people want to know, when do you change your Cricut blade? And the simple answer is that there's not a simple answer. It's not giving you guys a time frame as to when to change your blade. There's no set 3 months or 6 months or whatever it may be, because it's based on the materials that you cut. But I'm going to show you guys a simple way to know when your blade is getting old, and I'm going to cut this example. I'm going to show you guys this super easy example. That way you guys can tell when it's time to change out your blade. I'm also going to show you how to change your blade. It's really, really easy. And I'll link the blades that I use down below for you as well. Let's get started. So I always get asked, how often do you change your Cricut blades? And I'm going to show you guys how to tell when it's time to change your Cricut blades. So I'm just going to use 2 of the same color vinyl, and I'm going to cut the decal, and it's a 2-layer decal, onto each color, one using my old blade, which is already in my machine, and then I'll show you guys how to change into your new blade, and we'll cut on the same decal on the same colors, and then we'll weed them so you guys can see the difference between the old blade and the new blade. Now I'm going to unload this one and change it out for our next color. And like I said, we're going to cut 2 of the same designs on the same sheets of vinyl. And I'm doing this because one part is really solid and then the other part has a lot of writing on it. So I think this will be a really easy and fun way to show you guys the difference between using an old blade and when you know you need to change your blade versus using a new blade. And I want to show you this in real time so that you guys know I'm not cheating the system. I'm going to change the blade. You guys will see all of that. Now that we finished cutting the first decal set, we're going to change out our blade. So what you need to do is pop out the clamp here, which is your B clamp. Just open that and pull out your housing, which is just this. This housing is really easy to use. And all we're going to do is press down the plunger part. So this top piece right here, press that down and you'll see that your blade comes out. All you want to do is grab your blade and pull it out. And this is your old blade. You can just throw this away. And I use a set of 45-degree German carbide blades. I get these from 143 Vinyl. These last a really long time, so they're really nice. They come in a little case, and they're red cap. I don't love the Cricut blades, and they are mislabeled, so don't buy the gray cap. You want to get a white cap if you get a Cricut brand blade. So your sharp part of your blade is under the red cap, so you just need to pull that off. And you'll see that you have 2 sides. You have kind of a duller looking side and then the pointy sharp side. You want to take the duller side and put it into your blade. You just drop it in. It's magnetic, and then you'll see your blade is right back in. To replace your blade, just put your housing back in, close clamp B, and what we're going to do is unload this sheet because we have to go to the next one, and it's going to cut the yellow again. I just moved the decal over, so you'll see that on this side will be the old blade and then on this side is the new. Go ahead and load it, and we'll let this one cut. Make sure that you throw your old blade out. That way nobody gets poked with it. You don't lose it on the ground. And I'm going to let this cut out the second part of our decal with the new blade. Now that it's done cutting the yellow again, I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. And I'm going to go ahead and put the brown back on, and I want to make sure I get this the right direction. And like I said, we're cutting this side with the old blade and this side with the new. Go ahead and load that in. Now that it's done, I'm going to go ahead and go get my trusty pin pen and a pair of scissors, and we'll cut these around the designs. That way I can show you the difference in how it cut with the old blade versus the new. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'll first weed this one. So on this side here, this one is the new blade and this one is the old blade. So I'm going to turn it because I want to start with the old blade first. And I'm going to go ahead and just peel this back. Now, one second here, I dropped it. You'll notice that some of it's lifting with my vinyl sheet. So what I have to do is kind of break the little edge by just pulling my vinyl down a little bit. And you shouldn't have to do that, and it shouldn't lift all the pieces as you're pulling. Sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating when that happens. So you want to make sure that you're using a newer blade. So now that you've seen it pull this one, look at this. It may still pull up one or two just because they are kind of sharp corners, but look at how much easier it was to do this side, which this one here is the new blade. This one is the old because it cut it this direction, so that this flat side was this direction. So this one is going to be our old and our new. And again, I didn't take them off the sheet. I didn't want to separate them. But you guys can see all these little white dots, and you don't have them on this side. This pulled up a lot of our small pieces, which is super frustrating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to weed this best I can, but I know for a fact this is going to be really, really hard on the old vinyl. Again, you see how it's pulling up some of our petals, and I'm going to have to push them down using my finger. And there's this really thin piece right here that I want to make sure stays down, but you can see that it's really not wanting to stay down because the vinyl just didn't cut very well. So again, I'm not really going to put a whole lot of effort into weeding this one really well just because I know that it's not going to. But I'll show you guys best I can without getting frustrated with this. You can see it's doing okay. It's not great. And you can, if you listen, you can hear how it's kind of popping as I pull. It shouldn't do that. It's popping because it's ripping off the vinyl. So we're going to go ahead and pop all of that. And then now we have the words, which I am guaranteeing you is going to be an absolute nightmare. And you can also see all the middle pieces didn't stick, like at all. They didn't stay down. Now granted, I didn't really try, but they didn't stay down worth anything. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do this, and I'm actually going to trim this vinyl off because this is a lot of excess little pieces and I don't want it to stick to anything. So what I do is I'll usually like get one big section done and then I'll peel the vinyl off and just toss the extra, especially if I'm doing a font because it can get really hard because some of this is really small and thin lines. So again, we'll do our best, but I know this isn't going to go well. It's going to be a lot of lifting and frustration, so I'm just going to show you a few of these, and then when I get annoyed with it, I'm going to stop because I'm already getting annoyed with it because it's already sticking to itself. You can see here, this F. Do you see that it's like lifting with the vinyl? Like that's not cool. So what I have to do is hold it down with my finger, and that's annoying. And then it's got this little curly cue that's now lifted up. And you can see up here we've got lifting. So a lot of times if I get an old blade, I get a lot of lifting. So what I do is I will just go and do like one section of the vinyl. I'll just do the bottom, and then I just cut it off without cutting through my letter. And then I just kind of cut it off somewhere else. But again, this is going to frustrate the heck out of you if you are doing this. Because you can see how much is lifting. Nothing wants to stay down. It can be really, really frustrating. You can see this L just doesn't want to like stay. It got kind of off-centered. The T's for little are not even considering staying down. I'm losing the dot for my I in a hurricane, which can be so frustrating. Guys, see a theme? frustration with an old blade. Like, I give up trying to keep that down. The L is getting lost again because I can't keep anything where it goes. It's just, this is not good. And this vinyl is known to cut really well for small details. I use it all the time. It's great. Like, it's nothing to do with the vinyl. This has everything to do with your blades. So keep in mind that you do need to know when to change your blades. But again, it's not an exact science because everybody cuts different materials. So things like paper and things like that are going to... Oh, I totally cut through my letters. Oh, well. Okay, I'm getting annoyed with this one already, but let's see what happens. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this, and I'll show you guys, like, you can see it's lifting things. It's just, it's not good. And you can see how frustrating it is. It's just so frustrating. But anyways, you guys, you can do this. It's really going to depend on what materials you're cutting a lot of. Paper will dull your blade a lot faster. Faux leather, things like that is going to dull your blade way faster than using like a vinyl and things like that. But you can clean your blade with a piece of foil that does not sharpen your blade. You cannot sharpen these blades with a piece of foil, but it will clean off any of the adhesive because some of the adhesive and sticky stuff from your vinyl will stay on your blade. So, okay, this is going to be the side with our new blade. Now, again, you do always want to go slow, especially with thin lines. Like you can see, these lines are fairly thin between the petals, and you may still get a petal here or there that may want to come up with your vinyl. But you can see how many less petals are coming up. And like I said, I do go pretty slow when I do these. And I do have a little, like again, I do have a little bit of lifting, but a lot of that is because these are pretty thin lines. So no matter what, you're always going to want to go slow. But we can make such an easier work of this. And I'm going to go ahead and do this really quick, just because I know I'm going to end up getting this vinyl stuck to itself. And we got one more little one that wants to lift. That's okay. And we'll just go all the way down here. And I'm just trimming off these little lines until I get to the font and the center. Now again, you can see that we have no lifting really with these center pieces like we did over here. Now I cannot guarantee that these are all going to stay down. They are little teeny things. But we also have these little small lines in the flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and pop all of those out really quick. But you can see how much easier they're coming out than they did on the other one. The other one really had a lot of problems and a lot of lifting. That one's really small. And again, there's just not a science to this. It's a matter of knowing what the cuts look like when you need a new blade. So you'll feel the vinyl kind of, it'll make like a crackling feel. I don't know how else to describe it other than like a crackle feel. And you can just tell that it is just not cut all the way. This comes off pretty smooth, even if it's not coming off really, you know, easily necessarily, because they are very thin pieces. You're still not getting that crackle feel that you got with the old blade. It's almost like it didn't cut all the way through, like a perforation. That's a good description, a perforation feel. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and try to get these center ones. Again, they may not all stick. I'm not going to go super like slow and detailed with this just because I just want to show you guys. But if you get one or two that don't stick, not really the end of the world. It's a flower, like it's not perfect. But you can see how many more are staying down. And look at that. Look at the difference between this middle and this middle. Huge. So now I'll go ahead and go into the letters. Now again, with this, I do tend to like to trim off a few things. That way I'm not working with this big jumbly piece. So I like to cut that off and put it to the side. I just find it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the bottom here. Now, I know these curly letters are always a pain, but check out that F. Look at how easy that was. Came off, no problem. Again, I like to do I'm sorry, it's an H. I like to do them bottom to top or top to bottom. I don't like to do the whole word at once. I do find that makes it a lot easier when it comes to doing your weeding. It's just a little less to watch while you're weeding, and it just goes a lot faster. So you can see how much easier this one's going. So this one I'll be able to do probably all the letters without wanting to just scream. And you can see how much faster this one is going. Now we are going to end up with an eye in here, so we're just going to watch that dot, and look at that. Do you see that little teeny dot? It stayed. It stayed. This is so much easier, guys. So always, always, always know to check your blade. And again, I use the German Carbide 45-degree blades from 143. I will link these below. If you shop the link, don't forget to use the code GET5, all capital letters, GET5. I'll put that down on the screen for you. That will save you an additional 5%, and I am definitely a person who loves to save a little extra money when I can. So that extra 5% does add up. It's an awesome company. They are so good to their people. And we're going to go ahead and pop this out. Look at the difference, you guys. And this one, I wasn't like trying to rip my hair out. You notice I didn't go real slow with it. I didn't have to be super careful, and all of my letters stayed. And I'm even able to get the centers out really easy. And I'll go ahead and do this D. See how easy that one came out? This one, I can feel the crackle. Like I can feel that perforation in it. So it doesn't come out nearly as easy as some of these other ones. Like this is so simple. And it just looks so much better. The clean lines, it was easier to weed. I wasn't wanting to scream the whole time. So just note that if you are getting a lot of ripping or tearing, you're feeling like your vinyl's perforated and not fully cut through, that is when you know that it's time to change your blade. Again, you can change your blade very, very simply just by opening up clamp B and pulling out your blade housing. Really, really easy to do, and you can see the difference. This was the new blade, this was the old blade, and then we have new blade and old blade. I am so pleased with how well the new blade worked, and honestly, guys, I was cutting with an old blade for a really long time just to make sure that you guys would be able to see the difference between the old blade and the new blade. I really wanted to make sure. Now, I do see this was my own fault. I did lose a little piece right here. This happens. It's totally an accident. No big deal. You can always go in and contour and add your piece back. You can also look in your vinyl, see if you can find it. But that was my own fault. I was trying to talk and do this at the same time. So if it really, really bugs me, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the piece from over here. That is that piece. And we're just going to steal it. And put it over here. You'll never know. So listen, nobody's perfect, and we know that, and that was definitely my own error. But you can see these little pieces, all these small chunks stayed really, really well. The center is almost perfect. So just note that if you are getting really hard to weed things, try changing your blade. It can make all the difference in the world. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And if you hit that bell icon, it will alert you to when I post a new video. That way you don't miss any of the fun, crafty content we have going on here. We are going to post so many fun videos and so many cool things that you guys are going to learn about. And I can't wait to teach you all about how to use your Cricut and how to craft. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and happy crafting.